Good evening, everyone. My name's Mark Fernandez. So, I'm a student of Tara Institute of many years. Actually, I'll ask this question first up. So, who is new to Tara Institute? 1, 2, 3, 4. And who has been here before? Okay, great. So, most of you have been here before. So, welcome to both groups. So, very nice to see you tonight. So, hopefully. So this is Introduction to Buddhism, so this is week 2. So for those of you who didn't come to week 1, we'll go over some of the main themes. So they're Buddhist-specific themes, but you'll see there's crossover in Buddhism with a lot of other philosophies. So similarities, shared ideas, but also some differences. So it's important to, I guess, be critical and think about, okay, does that make sense? Yes, no, and then the Buddha's words were you should treat his teachings like gold. You know, like you're testing gold. You should just check, is it really gold or is it just lead? You know, or painted. You know, or fool's gold. You know, something like that. So you use your mind to discern whether the teachings ring true, if they're consistent or not, and then if they're not, you can just set them aside. So it's quite important. I'm going to discuss a number of different topics tonight. But the first thing when you're here is to establish a very good motivation. So for the period of teachings, you should think that you're going to do your best to develop good qualities through listening, thinking about, and meditating on the teachings. So this will, if you like, set the direction for this hour we have together. So that's very good. So you need that little bit of reinforcement so that you don't wander aimlessly for the hour, because it's easy to go, I should be doing this tomorrow and I'm meeting that person for lunch. But if you set your motivation well, it can act as an impetus for the period we're here. And we have another bookend at the end, which I'll talk about. So if you have a good motivation, that helps propel whatever action you do, whether it's being in this meditation hall or at work or with friends, that helps propel any action you do to be, either positive, negative, or otherwise, or neutral. So it's important to have a very good motivation, the best that you can have. So last week I covered briefly the idea of the law of cause and effect, or karma. So it's a Buddhist concept. It's also a Hindu concept. There's probably different variations in other religions as well. So with the Buddhist version, or the Buddhist idea or philosophy of the law of cause and effect, or karma, it goes hand in hand with the idea of a positive action will lead to a positive result, and a negative action will lead to a negative result, and a neutral action might lead to neutral, something you can't really discern. So not all cause and effect is karma. So not every action that we do that has a result is sort of karma ripening from that action. So can anyone think of an example where we do something and a result happens? No? Or I'll give you an example. So you can. Okay, I can give. This is an old example I've used before. I can give $10 to someone who's short of money on the street, $10. And then within a very short period of time, $100 comes to me. So that's considered an example of you're creating a very good cause by being generous, the positive action there, and so by giving the $10, and the $100 that comes into your possession later is not related to that action, but it's the ripening of a previous action. So not necessarily related to that good action. So that's the difference, because with the law of cause and effect, or karma, generally speaking, it happens across lifetimes. So cause created, result later. Can happen within the same lifetime too. But generally speaking, if it's within that short sphere of time, we say, there's a cause and then there's a result that's maybe not yet to be experienced, but you still might receive a windfall, if you like, from previous actions of generosity. So that's cause and effect. So there's cause and effect that you can see in action that's not karma, not directly related to that particular action. So it's important to have that idea in mind, because otherwise you'd think, what's such great karma, I'm creating here, if I keep giving small amounts, I'll become a millionaire within a few days, very short period of time, because, if that's how it worked, we could all tap into that, couldn't we? But unfortunately or otherwise, it doesn't work quite that way. So an example of karma, which we can discern. So we say, this is another example. I went my whole life without meeting a teacher, and then finally the teacher appeared before me out of nowhere. So in Buddhist terms, we would say, okay, I've been looking but I haven't found anyone, but then the teacher appears. So we'd say that's definitely a ripening of a previous result. You had the wish, and then the environment changed, and the teacher appeared before you. So so for Buddhists, and particularly we'd say that's very, very fortuitous, because it's very hard to traverse the spiritual path without a guide, and so the teacher plays that central role. So if you have the good fortune or good karma for that to happen, and obviously the teacher has to have the good qualities, then you're very fortunate. So I'll just cover another Buddhist term. This is one that His Holiness uses. So he says that all beings want happiness and don't want suffering. So is that true? All beings, every being? So he's not talking about just human beings there. He's sort of saying every being that there is has that sort of innate wish or desire. Just, I want to be, whatever happiness is, I want that, and I just definitely don't want to suffer. So I can see quite a few nods, so that's good. Did people believe that themselves? Yep. So we might have a distorted view about what happiness is, so that can, I want to be whipped. That will make me, this is extreme, so that will make me happy. But still there's the desire for some sort of happiness from that idea, even if it's a sort of a perverse idea or something that's completely wacky. So even the examples use, even the little ant that's sort of moving the grain or whatever it is to build the nest or whatever, that being is desiring some sort of happiness, whether it's being part of a collective, building that nest, or what is it, tunnel, ant farm? I'm not even sure what it's called, but effectively even that ant has that desire feeling. I want that, and I don't want to be trampled on, and I don't want to be eaten. So there's that. Even that little ant has that, and that we have that in common with the ant. So effectively we have that sort of, I really want happiness and I don't want to suffer. So for most people, in Soul Cat's, for most people there's a threshold of basic requirements above which, if you have these basic, you can cultivate happiness. So below this threshold, you can achieve happiness, but it's very difficult. So these are things that are our basic needs. So food and shelter, friends, affection, means. So, and also the environment. The environment's quite conducive. So there's not a war going on. So there's a few things like that you go, if you're free of all those things, and you have good things in your environment, etc., and your own condition, and your environment's good, then you've generally got a shot at being happy. Without those things, there are beings, of course, who can, overcome, transform. So whatever the environment is, they'll develop happiness. But I think for most beings, including me, I'll need, everything has to be, I need a base level of things. So, and we're quite fortunate in Australia. I know we have a homeless problem, but in the main, we all have a shelter. We all have good food and drink, clean water. We have friends. We've got affection. We have means. We have resources. So we have a good shot at those basic needs. So that, if you like, it's not necessarily the foundation, because as I mentioned, there are some beings who can just say, look, I don't need any of that. I can just practice the spiritual path and be happy. But for most of us, if we have those things, they're a good foundation. So if we had all of these sort of threshold needs met, and our resources kept increasing, would we become happier and happier? Lynn, you're shaking your head. You'd say no? Yes, so if you have more and more, Lynn's saying, it doesn't equate to happiness. So in the West, they've obviously done sort of studies. So it's not Buddhist studies necessarily, but on, okay, I've got $1 million of wealth. So you think, well, you've got that. That's it's more than most people have. Am I satisfied and happy? Oh no, if I had $2 million, $3 million, I'd be happy. So there's always that shoot beyond where you are. So that. And it's good to have aspiration, so don't get me wrong, but that thing is equating the material as it goes up with more happiness. And then you hear people saying, oh, remember when we had nothing and we were just together and we had, we were living in a squat or an apartment with, it was really, but we were happy, like there was a sort of and that's quite true. So it doesn't necessarily equate that the more you have, that the happiness goes up. So what is it that makes us happy? So we'd say the external things do. They definitely play a part, but they're not the main thing. So Buddhism says that the main source of happiness is the mind itself. So if you like, the Buddhism is more of a psychology. In fact, that's how sometimes the Buddhist teachers in term, it's more of a psychology than a religion. So that's something for you to check out. Is it more of a psychology than a religion? But so it says that the mind is the source of all suffering and problems, but the mind is also the source of the solution to the problems, and therefore it's the route to happiness. So then, if that's the case, if you didn't have this sort of, would you say that external things are the source of the problems? Like wealth or resources, shelter, are they the problem itself? Because we're always saying, oh, well, I need those. So are they the problem? No. So anyway, I can see some no, so that's good. So effectively the material goods themselves are not the problem. So you don't need to be like the famous Mahatma Gandhi and, effectively just give up everything and possessions and things like that, and live a very sort of austere life. So you definitely don't need to do that. So, but it's the mental attitude towards them that's the problem. So so Buddhism tries to transform the way we look at things, including material things. So, and it's, if you like, from those earlier threshold things, are they useful or not? Are they, you know? So if you don't have shelter, it's very hard to generate love and compassion if you're cold and hungry and homeless. So it's, you know, really difficult. Probably there are some beings who can achieve it, but it's very difficult. If you haven't got food in your tummy and you're really hungry and thirsty, then it's really hard to concentrate on generating love and compassion for others, because you just, you know, there's that overt suffering that you have at that point. So here's another question, it's a rhetorical one. So is the mind then the problem? Yep. Why do you say the mind's the problem?
Because I suppose if you think you want something that's going to make you happy, that's your mind thinking that. And it's not necessarily true. You might want that and you get sick of that thing. Or then you worry about something and then the worry doesn't even happen. So it's all happening in your mind.
Yeah, that's really good. So there's a sort of a desire for the thing you want, and then you get it, and then it doesn't. Actually, it's not even buyer's remorse. It's I've achieved it, I've got it, and maybe you get a fleeting, oh yeah, I've got that possession, the car, whatever it is, and then it sort of wears off. I think, doesn't it? While it's brand new or you're getting it, it's great, but then the effect of it wears off. So if the mind's the source of all the problems, there's no way we could be happy if we couldn't change those minds. So this is another element of Buddhism. So if we, for example, always had dissatisfaction, or anger, for example, anger is good because it's flash, you know, it's up and then it's gone. But if we always had that mind of anger, could we have any peace? Yep. No. Yes, unless you learn to control it in some way. So this is another, if you like, Buddhist concept, is that these afflicted minds, like the dissatisfaction or desire or anger, they're not the nature of the mind. So that the nature of the mind is this clean, clear, peaceful, happy state. And all these afflicted minds that are there and appear and seem to be so dominant, they're termed adventitious, which means that they're there, but they're not part of the mind. So they appear across the mind, if you like, but then you can remove them like a veil or like clouds. They can part and you're left with a clear sky. So that's important to know as well, because if we said, look, I can come to these Buddhist teachings and the meditations and everything, but the net effect of that is zero, there's no change, and it is from the point of view, can I change? If it was a no, then you'd be saying, well, why did you even bother? If you know, because it's true, isn't it? If you think, I'm putting all this effort, I don't think anything will happen, then why bother? So if you're looking at it critically, you go, no, the Buddhist view is that, even these afflicted minds, even if they seem so strong, powerful, they can be removed. And can they? And again, that's the question. Another question is it, can they be removed temporarily, or yes? Can they be removed permanently? So I think we can all experience moments when we don't have anger, when, you know, anger was there and then it's gone. But the more difficult one is, from our own experience, have we had a moment of clarity or happiness that was there, and the affliction wasn't. It was gone. It's gone, and that's more difficult. Maybe some of us have had a moment of it. Just, I felt so good, and there was nothing worrying me. But did it last? Or so from our experience in Buddhism, it says you put some effort in, you'll see if what the possibility of your own mind is. And in Buddhist terms, we'd say the possibility for a human being in this continent is that you can achieve that state of happiness, 100% permanent happiness, but with lots of effort. So it's not snap of the fingers and then it happened. It sort of like graduated, lots of work, but then eventually you get there. So that concept should provide some inspiration to us. Because if we came in thinking, oh no, look, I'll listen to this teaching, but it's just, it's like I've got a concrete head and nothing can get in, or I've got one of those in you and out the other type of minds that just no effect, impervious. But if we come in a bit more open and you think, oh well, yeah, okay, I'll investigate that, I'll just check that. So you can get moments of clarity and peace, and they can become longer lasting and more part of your continuum. You can also read about it in the texts that talk about the spiritual path of the Buddha and the saints and everything like that. They have these great qualities, and they were in human form. So there's sort of like, oh well, that teacher existed, that monk or nun or that person was a historical being or even a living one, and they've got these great qualities. So and in fact, I think that's for us, that's probably the easiest example of seeing what's the possibility of the human mind is to look at someone like His Holiness the Dalai Lama, or even Geshe Doga, the resident teacher here, and go, oh, okay, gee, he's always happy and calm and peaceful, and he always has such great clarity and wisdom. I'm talking about both of them. Both those teachers have that, and you think, oh, well, okay. And they're saying to us that we can have those same qualities. So there must be, maybe there's something to it. So that's important, I think, just from a Buddhist perspective, to go, okay, well, yeah, right. Is it true for me? Could I do that? Could I achieve something like that? Some semblance of happiness or peace? So in Buddhism, the Geshe Doga's one of his teachings is that the peaceful mind is the happy mind. The peaceful mind is the happy mind. So that's important too, because you go, okay, if my mind's agitated, am I happy? Angry? Jealous? No, there's a big no, I think. It's sort of like, well, if any of those states are really at the forefront, it's impossible. You have that mind, and then I'm really happy, because it's sort of more the opposite. It'll make you tight and miserable. So what Geshe Doga is talking about there is a cultivated, peaceful mind. So it might not start off like that, because we all have our ups and downs, but he's saying that can be developed. So again, that's pointing to that ability to change and transform and modify ourselves. So that requires a bit of confidence, particularly at the beginning, when it thinks, well, that's impossible. How can I be free of these afflictions? But that's what Geshe Doga is talking about. So there are a number of wisdom tools that we use to develop that peaceful mind, which becomes the happy mind. So the happy mind. So the first one is listening to teachings. So that can be done as listening to someone, reading the teachings, listening to a podcast or anything like that, where something's coming in, you're getting it, That's important. Because as you're doing that, so that's the first wisdom tool, listening, and the second one is contemplating or thinking about them. So because we have very critical faculties, that's probably the key, isn't it? You go, well, yeah, well, that doesn't make sense on that. Nope. Oh, that makes a bit of sense. I'll look into that further just to see. So that's important too. So because there's nothing like I'm telling you like it is, because I don't think that will convince any of you. So you have to have it from your own experience, your own side, saying, oh yeah, there's a little grain of truth in that. I'll look into that and just check that out. And the third wisdom tool is the practice of meditation. So there's lots of different meditations. So breathing meditation, analytical meditation, mindfulness meditation. So they're all important. They're just different techniques to help you along the way. So if you think about something on a intellectual level, so you need that because you're thinking, yep, that makes sense, or no, oh, okay, and then if you sort of ruminate on it a bit more, that's good too. If you meditate on that same topic, you'll get a much deeper understanding. So it'll be a little bit below that conscious level. It's a little bit more subtle and subconscious, but it'll provide, if you like, more momentum for your understanding. So why don't we do a little bit of meditation? So we'll do some breathing meditation. So this one is very easy to do. So it gives you the experience of the mind being at peace. So it's very short. So for beginners, they recommend very short, sharp meditation is best. So this meditation clears away the obstacles, worries and afflictions which we've described as sort of clouds, and brings us a state of peace as the mind is at rest and its crystal clear nature is revealed. So make yourself comfortable. The main thing with meditation is try and keep your back straight, and you can be sitting to do that or on a chair or cross-legged. So you can keep your mouth closed, so you're breathing through your nose. So the focus of our meditation is going to be on the breath. So keep your hands gently on your lap. So it's right hand on top of left, and your thumbs are pointing back towards the navel. So like that, and just sort of on your lap there. And your eyes are not completely closed, not completely open, so you just want to let in an impression of light. So breathing gently through the nostrils, imagine or visualise as you're breathing that all your anxieties, worries and concerns of the day are being removed as you breathe out. And as you're breathing in, beautiful enlightened energy comes into you. And again, as you're breathing out, all the worries and concerns are moving away from you. So you can do that for a few moments. So then switch your focus to the breathing, so gently through the nostrils. So the sensation as the breath's going in and out, and we'll just do that for a few minutes. And if your concentration wavers, just bring your mind gently back onto the breath. So gently bring your attention back to the back to the awareness of the room. You can open your eyes. So that's a very straightforward meditation. So it's got a nice beginning with enlightened energy coming in, and your worries, concerns leaving you. So psychologically, that creates a very powerful imprint. So because we're all different, our experience of the meditation will be different as well. So some people are very visual. So that will be quite a power. They'll have a visual image of enlightened energy coming in. Others are a little bit more sound. Other people are sort of the feeling, the sensation. So all are valid because everyone's different. But if you like, they're things I think that are quite important to cultivate because they're a little bit beyond the intellect of what a meditation should be. So for many years I used to watch Geshe Doga make offerings. He's got his implements and he's on the throne, and he's quite good. He's very skillful, obviously. And then he'd occasionally, they get to a point where he's doing the offerings, and he'd sort of close his eyes, and I'm thinking, well, what is he doing? Come on. And it's like he's visualising what's happening. And I go, oh, okay. Because when I tried to do that, I got black. It's all dark. Nothing's happening. So I thought, oh, okay. But then I thought, okay, he's doing it. Whatever he's visualising, it's real for him at that point. So he's creating it, but it's there. And does it deepen whatever experience it is, whatever action he's doing? So at that point, it's offerings. So making nice offerings to the Buddhas and those around. So, and to all the sentient beings in the meditation hall, the Gompa. So I started playing around with that. I thought, yeah, okay. It does have an effect. So definitely not as well as Geshe Doga does it, but it made a difference because it wasn't just pitch black. Oh, just close your eyes, Mark, and think of off. No. It's just you could see something. Something was happening that was beyond the intellect, if you like. But it was moving. So anyway, those are things, if you like, for meditation. You'll find it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or A, B, C, D. It's not quite like that. It's just an intellectual exercise. You'll move a little bit beyond that to get your own experience. So if you're going to do the meditation, any form of meditation practice, it's always a good one to set a good motivation. So we did that at the beginning. So do the practice, and for beginners, the main thing is be consistent. So if you're going to do it, try and do it each day, and then be short. So you always want to have that feeling of, I'll stop, and I could have gone more, and it gives you that keenness to go again. If you just keep going, you might find at the end of it, you feel good, but the next day, when you think, I should be doing my meditation, you'll think, oh no, maybe what's on Netflix, or something will come up that's more attractive than the meditation itself. So it's important to just do short, sharp sessions and be consistent, particularly with breathing meditation, because you think, I can go longer. But that's not really what you want to do. You want to just be consistent. And again, this is advice from Geshe Doga. So he said, if you feel you can go longer, like you can do, he said 5 minutes. He said sort of do 5 minutes, 5.5. Like he wasn't saying I'd double it. It was just like, just do a little bit more, not more. So, and it's the quality is the most important thing. So short's good, really good, and then just cultivate that. And then where do you do your meditation? I'll ask some of the students. Where do you do your meditation?
In a room with a light specific for meditating.
Yep. So that's true. You can do it in a room specific for meditating. That's very good. Would you have anything in that room, or what would you?
Similar altar type setup.
An altar type setup. Yep.
Or under a tree.
Under a tree. Very good. Anywhere? You can do meditation anywhere. That's true. That's true. But some, particularly as a beginner, some environments are more conducive than others. So, if you've got a room full of kids, and they need to be gotten ready for school, and you're trying to meditate, I imagine that would be quite a challenging task, I think, to actually be focused on the meditation while there's pandemonium going on around you. So but you can do a form of meditation at that point. But we're talking about specifically this breathing meditation. So if you don't, you can do it in a meditation room. You can do it on your bed. You can do it on a couch. You can do it on the floor. So you can. But if you pick a spot and you like the spot, and you've got access to that spot each day, use that, whatever it is, with a chair, around the table, whatever. And if you can make the spot, like this gentleman's alluded to, sort of offerings, it's obviously somewhere nice and beautiful. So if you can beautify that particular location as well, make it nice. Like here in the Gompa, they do lots of lights. So there's soft lights, there's flowers, incense. We don't do candles anymore, do we? Oh, jeepers. We'd not tell our insurance company about that. But anyway, yeah. So, but light, you get the idea. So we're trying to beautify the space. So it's good if you can do that. When Geshe Doga, when he's doing the offerings, he's generally offering to the Buddhas. So one of the things he offers is, food. So a food offering is good. So something you like, offer that to the enlightened beings, if you like. So just for inspiration, blessings. So that's quite good. So, but you don't need any of that. But it's just sort of helpful. So. So you'll find that the Tibetan teachers, they're always doing offerings. So there's a reason for that. So just like we're here for an hour and we're generating merit, the sort of ball of positive energy, they're doing the same thing when they're making offerings. Offerings to others, offerings to all beings, offerings to the enlightened beings. So they're generating merit, positive energy. So we can do the same. So that's the point. So to our own inclination. So whatever we like. So one of the benefits of that meditation is that the breathing meditation is, for that time you're doing it, if you get sort of more practice at it, that your mind actually does become more peaceful. And that's the point Geshe Doga is making, saying that peaceful mind is the happy mind. Peaceful, happy, sort of they correspond with each other. If your mind's peaceful, the happiness will come, it'll arise from that. So could we say that for all of us in the room, that effect of that meditation is lasting? Actually, it goes beyond the meditation. So once we stop, that peaceful state stays. I can see quite a few nods. Does anyone venture a no, or don't disagree? No? Thank you. Yes. So because we're individual, so we've got different experience. For some of us, there'll be a vista, once we're finished, there'll be an impression, if you like, of peace, a little bit of peace, just for however long it goes for. for others of us, it'll be like, oh, I managed to keep my mind under sort of control. It was subdued, but then as soon as I opened my eyes, it was back to sort of thinking about this and that and the other. It wasn't peaceful as such. But the beauty about the meditation is the more you do it, the effect lasts longer. It continues on for a little bit longer. And what that does, we'll come to this probably more in coming weeks, is we can't always be in the meditation and be in this peace, because we have to work, we've got school, we've got families, friends, we've got all things going on outside of it, so we can devote some time to it. But if we're only peaceful in meditation and then it finishes and then we're back to everything and we're not peaceful, that's not much good. But what the meditation does, its effect becomes more lingering and lasting. So you develop a peaceful mind beyond the meditation as the meditation gets deeper and more consistent. So you shouldn't take my word for that. You have to check that out for yourself, because I can tell you anything. It's like, oh, yeah, you do that, but if you try, you'll see. Does that work for me? Yeah, okay. So one of the other advantages of that breathing meditation, the after effect, is it gives you cognitive space, time and space, before the affliction can take over. In an event that's affliction inducing, for example, you meet with your partner, they egg you on, you feel eruption, a volcano, whatever it is. It's just, but the effect of the breathing meditation will temper that. That's what it does. So it gives you that little bit of space and time to think. You're almost an observer to your own affliction coming up, thinking, oh, now I'm feeling really agitated. I'm going to remove myself or take some action that doesn't mean that I erupt at my friend or my partner. So there's an example of, we haven't quite mastered the peaceful mind, happy mind, but we've used the after effects of the after effect of the meditation is actually helping us. And why I asked that question about, if we're angry, if we always have affliction, if our minds were always like that, well, we couldn't change it. So there's no point doing anything because it can't be changed. But if you don't have the techniques, then if you've always reacted with anger to that situation and you don't have any other means of coping, what will arise? The same anger, correct, that's right. Because if you don't have anything to temper it, or you'll just go, you'll get angry. So, but by having this technique, it's one of the things that can sort of temper it, deflect it, reduce it. So that's important. So some people don't have it, and you can see them every time they encounter I'm good on this, on the road, in a car. So it's just, look, he cut me off, and it's like, so immediately the hackles go up. There's not even they're 30 metres away by that stage and tearing down the road, but there's that instantaneous reaction of anger. So it doesn't. There's a few people there who've never experienced this, I think, because. But certainly I have, and I'm surprised by it when it happens, because I'm thinking, well, I was thinking I was pretty, just happy driving along, but that person, caused that anger to rise. So anyway, what I'm getting at, the after effect of that meditation will help, because you just give you that cognitive time and space to not immediately react with anger. So that's important. Because then if you don't feel that straight away, the person might be half a kilometre down the road before you think about it and go, oh, well, they cut me off, and oh, okay, you let it go. Doesn't upset you for the day or whatever. So that's important. So they're all, like, if you like, anyway, benefits of that simple breathing meditation. So does anyone have any questions? So I've covered just a very few things tonight. So. Yeah, okay. So, that's a very good question regarding the technique for dealing with anxiety. So anxiety's probably a little bit different because it's generally rooted in some form of fear. Something's happened in the past that's triggered that response, and then everything else that happens, or lots of other things that happen, even if it's not the same event, trigger it again and again. So you're reinforcing that fear, but the anxiety comes up. So the breathing meditation would help that, because you're not anxious while you're in the breathing meditation. You're developing that peaceful mind, and that technique of giving and taking. So I've used this in a different context to the Buddhist context, but effectively you're breathing, when you start, you're breathing out the anxiety and the afflictions and the worries, concern, and you're breathing in that enlightened energy. So, and that's what I was talking about, visual, smell, the experience, the feeling. So if that experience is there, that actually helps you to get, before you get into the breathing meditation. So you're positive, enlightened energy coming in, you have some confidence, and then you're breathing out the anxiety or even the anxiety-causing conditions. So, and then you go into the breathing meditation, and it becomes if you like, one more tool to help you deal with it. And then you have, the after effect as you cultivate that is that little bit of cognitive time and space. That's not an easy one, is it? Because a lot of people are very anxious, aren't they? Yeah? Yeah. Yeah, and I take you. I think you're making excuses for me, because I think the thing is, when I'm driving and someone cuts across me, I'm not thinking about, they could have killed me. I'm just thinking they got into my lane. It's pretty much as simple as that. It's my lane, and I'm. So I see what you're saying. Definitely, look, if someone's about to, rear end you or whatever, or T-bone into your car, of course, the fear will definitely come up there, and probably justified, really. But generally, what I'm talking about is probably the everyday thing we have in our busy road system, that you think, well, people are just going to cut across, cut corners, etc. So anyway, just coming back to that breathing. So it'll be the breathing meditation will be one tool, effective tool to reduce the anxiety. It can also be used to temper the anger. So people feel. But I think anxiety is a big one. Like this is just statistical, but the rate of young people smoking or people smoking has dropping amongst the older age group. But it's being picked up by younger women. And it looks like the main reason for that is some form of anxiousness or anxiety. So I don't know what that is. And the boys, they vape. So they're not getting off scot-free, but effectively the incidence of smoking amongst younger women is rising, and it's generally due to anxiety. So they're anxious. When you see them, you go, oh, they're going out for a cigarette. Why? And it's generally some form of anxiety that they're experiencing. So it's probably a very prevalent problem, isn't it? Anxiety. That's sort of, if you like, ongoing. Because everyone can feel anxious about something. Oh, I'm going for an interview, or you can start to feel anxious. But to have this sort of ongoing thing where you're constantly fearful, that's not a good situation to be in. Does anyone else have any questions? They were really good questions though. So.
Could you expand your thoughts about the visualisation whereby you initially were looking into the dark space and then you were then able to...
Yes. So look, okay. What's that?
It's not a 2-minute answer.
No, it's not that. It's more the capacity of the visualiser. So in my case, I can see the teacher there. He's doing his visualisation. He's doing his offering, and I'm thinking, oh, okay, what happens when I do it? And he goes, it's black, black, black. I'm thinking, well, and then it took quite a long time, years. I thought, why should it be black? Why should it just be nothing? Sorry, nothing. And it was just sort of a force of, oh, well, if Geshe Doga is visualising or seeing something and it's having an impact, could I do something like that? And then that sort of suddenly, it just opened a little bit. So I could sort of go, well, if I'm visualising beautiful offerings in front of me, I'm visualising beautiful offerings, not just blackness. So it was a mental shift for me, and it just made all the difference.
Irrespective of whatever the conversation was or whatever the process was at the moment.
Yeah, because we each have our own different capacity, but I think that was, to me, it was an eye-opener. Because I thought if Geshe Doga is able to sort of, what looks like he's closing his eyes, but he's still making these beautiful gestures and offerings, and I'm trying to do the same thing, and I'm watching him and go, I can't, it's just nothing. And I thought, well, what is it? And it's just, he's visualising in his mind. So I thought, well, I can't see it, what he's, but I can think it, and that changed. And that's what I was talking about, the different experiences people have when they breathe in, or that the enlightened energy is coming in. Some will have a visual, colour, sound, So, and then the afflictions or the anxiety going out, that can be visualised as black smoke or a feeling of release. So everyone's different because we sort of all have sort of different, if you like, inclinations or proclivities, but they're all effective. So it's a simple meditation, but it's very powerful. So it'll give you a taste of the possibility of your own potential. So that's probably the most important thing, I think. So I think we'll finish tonight. So the book ends. So we've generated a very good motivation at the beginning. So at the end of any activity, and usually I wait, I'm not very, mindful, so I wait till the end of the day or whatever, the end of the activity, and then I dedicate. So because we've had just an hour together, we generated a great motivation at the beginning, so we can dedicate at the end, like that. So I find I can do, with my limited capacity, I can do it motivation once, or if in the morning I can try and set a good motivation in the morning for whatever I'm going to do, and then I think it gives me some momentum, and then I leave the dedication towards the end of the day. I'm just so some of the practitioners, they're doing it throughout the day multiple times. I'm generating motivation for this and I'm dedicating for that, and I struggle personally with that. But I can do a beginning and I can do an end. So I think that concept's easy to understand, I think. So this ball of positive energy generated a great motivation for its end. I'm going to direct that energy by dedicating it to something. So last week I asked a few people what they could dedicate towards. So I'm going to ask Lynn, what should we dedicate to? Very good. So we could dedicate it to all the people in the Ukraine who are being harmed. So that's a great, dedication. So we've created some positive energy. We can direct it to those people there. Yes, that's another great motivation. We could expand it to all the people in the world. In the war. In the war. Sorry. Yeah, we could dedicate it to all the people in the war. Yep. And I misheard you. I thought you meant the whole world, all the people in the world. Yeah. So you got two great answers there. Yeah, because you could keep expanding it out. So you could go, I'll dedicate to my family, my neighbourhood, my country, Ukraine. War, the whole world. So immediately mentally you're expanding your scope, but you're not diluting your positive action by doing that. So if anything, you're actually probably multiplying it in some way or another. So that's the last one. All the beings in the world. That's pretty much the motivation of this of the Mahayana tradition, is sort of to dedicate it for all the beings. All the beings benefit. So that's good. So maybe we can, in our own way, we can do that dedication. So we can just sort of close our eyes and just dedicate for the beings in the Ukraine, both sides, and all the beings in the world. Okay, thank you everyone.